Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us this evening for our Canadian Armed Forces Appreciation event. Добрий вечір, шановні гості. Я називаюся Зенко Mishkevich. My name is Zen Mishkevich, and I'm a proud member of the Ukrainian War Veterans Association of Canada, as well as being a recently retired member of the Canadian Armed Forces after 41 years of service. It's my pleasure to be your... Our objectives this evening are twofold. Firstly, we are here to honor and thank the Canadian Armed Forces for their contributions in Ukraine under the auspices of Operation Unifier. Tonight, you will hear first-hand accounts from this mission, how it has evolved from its original inception 3 years ago in 2015, its successes, and how it is helping the Canadian Armed Forces to prepare for a new type of warfare with an emboldened Russia, particularly as Canadian troops are pre-positioned in Latvia, just from the border of Russia. Operation Unifier is immensely important to not only the Ukrainian, Canadian, and Eastern European communities, but to all Canadians that respect the rule of international law. It is so important that this mission continue beyond the current commitment of 2019. Secondly, we are here to honor a great Canadian military leader of Ukrainian descent who has made immense contributions to Canada and its armed forces. We will be presenting our organization's Knight's Cross this evening to Lieutenant General Paul Winnick, Commander of the Canadian Army. I would now like to introduce the President of the Ukrainian War Veterans Association of Canada, Andrii Sokhanivsky. Andrii served in the Royal Canadian Air Force as an Air Combat Systems Officer and commanded Maritime Patrol Aircrew on Canada's venerable CP-140 patrol aircraft, Aurora patrol aircraft, where he accumulated over 2,200 hours of flight time. Andrii is a graduate of the Royal Military College of Canada, and he also holds a Master's of Business Administration degree from the Ivy Business School at Western University. Andrii is very active in the local and national Ukrainian community, and he recently completed a very successful period as chair of the board of directors of the Ukrainian Credit Union. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Andrii Sokhanivsky to the podium.
Thank you, Zenon. Dear guests, dear members of the Canadian Armed Forces, dear members of the 3rd Battalion Royal Canadian Regiment and 2 CER from Petawawa, dear veterans, good evening and thank you so much for joining us for our Canadian Armed Forces Appreciation Evening. The Ukrainian War Veterans Association of Canada, Ukraïnська стрілецька громада, Canada's oldest Ukrainian-Canadian veterans organization. It was founded in 1928 in Winnipeg by some 16 former soldiers of the Ukrainian National Republic. Thanks to their hard work, resourcefulness, and their dedication, the ideals of national unity and civic duty grew throughout the entire Ukrainian-Canadian community. Today, the UWVA has a renewed mission. With brutal combat operations taking place in Ukraine for the first time since the Second World War, and the Canadian Armed Forces playing an active role in helping build and renew Ukraine's military capabilities and supporting NATO allies in Eastern Europe, the UWVA has begun to channel its efforts in fostering relationships between the Canadian and Ukrainian militaries and the Ukrainian-Canadian community. The UWVA is an organization that understands and honors the sacrifices of our soldiers, and one that understands that having a strong, loyal, and well-trained military is essential for a country to exert its sovereignty, protect its citizens, and deter aggression. We have with us this evening numerous veterans. I would like to acknowledge 2 current members of our organization that are here with us this evening. The first is Sergeant Adam Vinitsky. Adam, if you could please stand for a moment. Sergeant Vinitsky is a currently serving paratrooper with the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada. He has hundreds of parachute jumps to his credit and is a former demonstrator of the Skyhawks, Canada's military parachute demonstration team. In 2008, he volunteered for service in Afghanistan, where he served as a machine gunner in the Force Protection Platoon providing armed security for the Tactical Combat Casualty Care Unit. His platoon was in charge of protecting all Canadian logistical road moves in Kandahar province. Adam returned home safely after his tour of duty and subsequently went on to serve as an Army close quarter combat instructor, putting his black belt in Taekwondo to good use. Being a dedicated soldier, his second job is a fighting Viking warrior on the hit TV show, The Vikings. He actually told me not to say that, but I outranked him. Thank you, Adam. The second UWVA member that I would like to acknowledge is Молодший Sergeant Yura Alexandrov, veteran of the Army of Ukraine. Yura, if you could please stand. Sergeant Alexandrov first served in 2002 in the 25th Separate Dnipropetrovsk Airborne Brigade as a sniper. When Russia attacked and began to occupy parts of eastern Ukraine in 2014, Yura went back into active service. He helped liberate the town of Slovyansk and moved on towards Mariupol, where he spent several months in the front lines, where he was wounded in action. He also saw extensive combat in the Battle of the Baltsov. He recently immigrated to Canada, and we are very proud that he has joined our organization. Thank you, Yura. If I could ask that all of our veterans and current military members please rise and be acknowledged. Thank you. By being here today and showing your support and gratitude for the Canadian Armed Forces, its mission in Ukraine and NATO, the Ukrainian Army, and our veterans, we ourselves are called into service as members of Canada Battalion. We need to ensure that our Canadian troops and our senior military members that are executing on this mission are honored, supported, and thanked. Spread the message of the great work of the Canadian Army is doing in Ukraine and Europe. Thank you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Andrei. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as our guests make their way forward and receive the traditional Ukrainian greeting of salt and bread.